How's it going, everybody? Thank you all very much for watching. I always appreciate it. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. This is my top 10 Val Kilmer Movies list. This is an actor that I grew up watching ever since I was a wee lad, and many of his films are some of my favorites. He was more than just a movie star. He was a great character actor that could play all kinds of roles that would really surprise you from time to time, considering the variety of roles that he would take on throughout his career. Val Kilmer was a guy that could do comedy, drama, action, thrillers, westerns, romance, whatever, you name it. The guy's talent knew no bounds. He could reload a machine gun in a few mere seconds, or sing like Jim Morrison if he wanted to, or dress up like a bat. He was a true actor and a consummate artist who left an indelible mark in cinema, and I will forever appreciate his body of work and his great performances throughout the years. And I know everybody has their own favorite Val Kilmer movies and Val Kilmer performances. If you want to go ahead and put your favorites in the comment section, I'll be glad to read them since, we're not always going to agree, but at least we can, discuss and compare and all that, which is always fun as a movie fan. With all that said, now it's time to get into the actual list. So, of course, starting with number 10, we got Batman Forever from 1995, where Val Kilmer played the role of Bruce Wayne slash Batman only once, but a very, very memorable film because of its style and tone, because of the way it changed things up from the gothic style from the first two films that was started by Tim Burton. Batman Forever is not a perfect movie, but it's a movie that, even though it has its flaws, I have a lot of nostalgic love for. It's a movie that I have a lot of fun with. I think it's entertaining as hell. Love Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones is Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, but it's still fun to see Tommy Lee Jones really just cut loose and have fun on the screen, at least for me. Even though it's not the Two-Face that I would have preferred, but at least we have Val Kilmer as Batman. The action sequences in the film are fun, wild, and crazy, and imaginative, and has a great soundtrack. A lot of the special effects to this day still look really great. Some of it not so great in terms of like 90s CGI, but some stuff really holds up beautifully. It's over the top, it's very colorful. The music score in this movie from Elliot Goldenthal has a hell of a Batman theme. The costumes are a lot of fun, even though I, like a lot of people, could have done without the nipples on the bat suit. But either way, it's part of our Batman history, part of our Batman heritage, and I'm a Batman whore ever since I was 5 years old. If it was a comic or it was a cartoon or a show or a movie, I was there for it. And some of them are going to be better than others, but like I said, I'm a huge Batman whore, and so give me all the Batman, I'll take what I can get. And even if it's Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever, I will forever be a defender of this film. And even the film that came after it, because like I said, I just love Batman, and so yeah, 1995's Batman Forever, it's my number 10. In the number 9 spot on this list, I have Willow from 1988 from director Ron Howard. This is a real fun medieval adventure fantasy where you have the character Mad Mardigan teaming up with the title character of Willow, played by Warwick Davis. Val Kilmer's character is kind of a Han Solo type. He's a bit of a scoundrel with a heart of gold that's great with a sword. That's a bit of a reluctant hero, but still kind of a hero nonetheless. In this film, there is an evil queen that wants to do away with a little baby princess that is prophesied to come back when she grows up and kill the queen. With a plot like that, if you're a Christian or Catholic, then you can no doubt see the parallels between this and a very famous story from the Bible, but it doesn't get all that deep. It's a very fun, entertaining kind of fantasy film with really fun music score from the late, great James Horner, and some pretty cool effects every now and then with the special effects in terms of optical effects and practical effects. Some really cool makeup effects. There's a moment that is pretty damn scary if you're a little kid and you see this for the first time, where you see people morphing into pigs. That is definitely going to give little kids a bit of a fright. Great set design and production design and awesome costumes and a great cast of little people actors. Warwick Davis does a great job as our title character, playing a very sympathetic and likable hero. The medieval costumes look really cool. The production and set design still looks great. You have a great villain in the film, fun heroes, and a real great cast of little people actors like Tony Cox from Me, Myself, and Irene, and Friday in a small part. And you also have the great late Billy Barty, who was a staple of 1980s fantasy cinema. And so, yeah, I'm very nostalgic for this movie. I love this movie. And yeah, Willow from 1988 definitely makes the list. In the number 8 spot on this list is Kill Me Again from 1989 from director John Dahl, who directed movies like Red Rock West from 1993 and 2001's Joyride, so he can make a hell of a road thriller. And this movie is no exception, where you have Val Kilmer, Joanne Whaley Kilmer, and also Michael Madsen. You have Val Kilmer playing private detective Jack Andrews, and this woman walks into his life like a lot of noir detective movies where she has a case for him, where he's not completely sure if she's telling him the truth. Of course, Michael Madsen does a good job playing a real creep in this movie in the role of Vince, and Joanne Whaley Kilmer is really good in the film also in the role of Faye. But what they do with her character in terms of the way they write her makes her character a bit predictable, but it doesn't matter because Val Kilmer is great as Jack Andrews in this film. It's well made, it's well paced, it has a lot of style, and it's taken a 1940s kind of story and just adapted it for the late 80s, made it a bit more, modern. Not, well, modern, but, for the 80s, it was pretty modern then. But yeah, either way, this is a movie I have a lot of fun with. And yeah, Kill Me Again. It makes my number 8 spot. Making the list at number 7, I have Top Gun from 1986 from director Tony Scott. For quite a bit, I debated whether or not this should even be on the list because this is, after all, more of a Tom Cruise movie. But one cannot deny the mark that Val Kilmer left on this movie as his character of Tom Kazansky, aka Iceman. In this flick, they do a very good job at setting up Val Kilmer's character Tom Kazansky to be this ultimate rival to Pete Maverick Mitchell, Tom Cruise's character, but he ends up being a lot more than just a rival. He ends up being a true comrade in arms, which carries through to its sequel that came out a couple of years ago, Top Gun Maverick, which had that really heartfelt and heartbreaking moment between the two characters. And in the original film, you get to really see these guys really at their peak in their prime when they were young and having a good time, having fun, playing volleyball and shooting down enemy jets. Two very charismatic characters that definitely have their differences in personality and style and philosophy and their tactics in warfare and combat and flying, but they got to overcome all that because ultimately they are on the same team. And this movie, of course, has those great aerial sequences and cinematography that looks beautiful even to this day. On rewatches, I enjoy every aspect of this movie. I enjoy the action, I enjoy the love story between Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise, the buddy angle there between Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards, and of course that great, iconic, and classic rivalry between Iceman and Maverick. And yeah, Top Gun is an action movie staple of the 80s. In the number 6 spot, I have The Ghost and the Darkness from 1996 from director Stephen Hopkins, who gave us movies like A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Predator 2. In this movie, Val Kilmer plays an Irishman by the name of Patterson, a construction engineer who is a very good guy who is sent to Africa by a real asshole of a character played by the late great Tom Wilkinson. And in Africa, his job is to build a bridge with the help of some village locals, and there is a bit of a problem with these killer lions. These lions are taking out all these people that are working on the bridge, and so they're having a bit of a problem getting this bridge made. And so Val Kilmer tries to take care of the problem at first, but he's not an expert, and so they need to call an expert to deal with these lions, an expert hunter, played by the great Michael Douglas as the character of Remington. It's also interesting to see that this is based on a true story, so it's cool to go online and find the comparisons from fact and fiction and all of that. But this is a really good movie from the 90s that I highly recommend. If you haven't seen it, you should check out, especially if you want to check out more of Val Kilmer's films that you missed out on. And The Ghost and the Darkness is definitely one of those movies that I do recommend for anyone that enjoys a good animal versus man thriller. Number 5 spot on this list, I have Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from 2005 from writer-director Shane Black, who gave us Lethal Weapon, also gave us The Nice Guys, that really god-awful Predator movie from a few years ago, which we won't get into. But 2005's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a very fun comedic detective thriller where you have Robert Downey Jr. as Harry, a criminal, a lowlife that gets into the acting business by accident, and ends up meeting a guy called Gay Perry, played by Val Kilmer. You got to be a damn great actor with charisma for days to be able to steal scenes from somebody like Robert Downey Jr. But Val Kilmer does that throughout this movie effortlessly with his character. Though this came out in the early 2000s, and even though it's a more comedic take on a detective story, it still feels very highly influenced from the 1940s and 50s film noir detective stories of that era, and wears those influences very proudly on its sleeves, with very fun and entertaining dialogue all throughout, and very fun and memorable performances from Robert Downey Jr. and, of course, the great Val Kilmer and everybody else involved. This is a really fun time. Number 4 on this list is Thunderheart from 1992, directed by Michael Apted, who also directed the 1999 Bond film The World Is Not Enough. In this movie, Val Kilmer stars as Ray Lavoie, an FBI agent sent to an Indian reservation to uncover a murder. But there's a lot more to it than that, and it gets very, very heavy in terms of the plot and the mystery. There's conspiracy. Because this murder took place at this Indian reservation, the FBI sends Val Kilmer's character because supposedly he is part Sioux Indian, but his character is very Americanized, and so slowly throughout the movie, Val Kilmer's character becomes a bit more acquainted with that side of him and that side of his culture. That's one of the more fascinating aspects of the film. You really get a bit into the culture, into the Native American way of life and the way life is on the reservations, and it can be pretty harsh in terms of the realities of that, and like the water they have to drink and the water in the film. The source of the water becomes a major plot point in the film. The music throughout this movie is also quite excellent. James Horner, who did the music for movies like Patriot Games, The Mask of Zorro, Titanic, does an excellent job with the music throughout this movie. And yeah, I highly recommend this. If you enjoy a good thriller, drama, crime, mystery, this is definitely up your alley. Number 3 on this list is Tombstone, baby. Tombstone. Love this movie. Love this cast. Directed by George P. Cosmatos officially. Came out in 1993. You got Val Kilmer. You got Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott. Great cast all throughout this movie. Great fun action. Great characters. This movie has an ensemble cast with a bunch of great actors, but no doubt our two main leads are Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer, and when the both of them are on screen together, you feel like they are the co-leads, like the both of them are the stars. But when Kurt Russell is on his own, he does feel like he's taking the wheel, but then you got those scenes where Val Kilmer gets center stage, and then it feels like it's kind of his movie. So there is a bit of a back and forth dynamic between the two of them. Like one takes over, then the other takes over, then they both take over together. It feels like they're working in tandem to lead this movie together, but at the same time, they both get their shine. Everybody feels equally important to the story. And yeah, Val Kilmer is just unbelievably awesome in this movie as Doc Holliday, a very memorable and iconic character and performance. Tombstone is just a good old-fashioned Western with classic themes, good guys versus the bad guys, and good versus evil, and definitely a very fun time and entertaining watch. If you enjoy a good Western and a good action movie, check it out. Still holds up beautifully to this day. 1993's Tombstone. That's my number 3. In the number 2 spot on this list, I have The Doors from 1991. If you ever see a Jim Morrison documentary, or if you ever see a Jim Morrison interview, take a look at it, and then take a look at this film, at Val Kilmer in this film, because the guy just nailed the mannerisms, the way he speaks, the way he moves, and the way he moves on stage and all of that. It's also really great that in the film, the portrayal of Jim Morrison is a portrayal of a person that wasn't perfect, had flaws, that was human. And Val Kilmer really captured that part as well. He was a person that wasn't faithful and did have this addiction to drugs, and you see the dark side of fame and the dark side of the music business. As a fan of this band and a fan of the music, it's really cool to see how this band came to be and how they came up with certain songs and how they came up with the music and how they added certain sounds in the sound mixing when they were editing songs and all that stuff. It's really fascinating. And my number 1 Val Kilmer movie is Heat from 1995, directed by Michael Mann. And it can be argued that, well, is this really a Val Kilmer movie? Because, it's more of a De Niro and Pacino movie. But look at the cover. Kilmer's on the cover. His name is on the cover. It's a Val Kilmer movie. I really love the pacing of it because I love how it fleshes out characters and you really feel involved in this story and get to know these people. And then when they get to go into battle with each other on the street, you get all the more immersed into the story because you begin to take sides and even take sides with the bad guys, not just the good guys, because you want to see the bad guys sometimes get away and sometimes you want to see the good guys get their man. But it's not a movie where you just root for one character. Whether he was in a supporting character role or whether he's a star of a movie, either way, it's a Val Kilmer movie as long as Val Kilmer is in it, doing a great job. And as far as I'm concerned, these are my top 10 Val Kilmer films. And please look out for the next classic movie review coming out very soon. Till next time, everybody take care of each other. Peace out. God bless.